Korean scholar. Korean scholar. Korean scholar. Waking up the people of the Most High. Got the knowledge to destroy the lies. DNA history, open eyes. Walk into the darkness and turn on the lights. Wake up, 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 wake up.
5 minutes, he'd be calling you. Don't say nigga.
I see strength, love. I see flawed human beings.
How did you get that level of empathy? Because it shows up even, I was watching a documentary, an older documentary that you did with your foster family. And there was a point where you were being bullied and you came home to your mom and your foster mom and you told her like, these kids are saying, you know, this, that, and the other.
I mean, us?
She looked to you and she says, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt. But you said then, but they do hurt. You feel a certain way. Like that's not, usually you just kind of listen to the adult and you just take what they say, but it's like, it does hurt. I mean, but that's a level of empathy when I heard that and I go,
5 minutes, he'd be calling you. Don't say nigga.
You think they mean us?
Yeah.
Let me say that again. The ancient Israelites, they were
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
Could you use it in a sentence?
Real nigga roll call. Niggas bleed. Jigger my nigga. Niggas for life. Real niggas don't die. Shame on a nigga. Suck a nigga. Ain't no nigga. Ain't no nigga.
Negus.
And did you say the word loudly for the judges?
Nigga.
Negus.
One more time.
Nigger.
Negus.
Negus.
Nigga.
Negus.
Negus. NaGaYaD. Negro. Niger. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit of it. Proverbs 18:21. Now that I got your attention, let's dig into the root of these words and discover the power within them. Welcome, guys. Welcome to tonight's lesson. I hope you're had a great weekend. Some of you, we had a great teaching last night, but we're gonna start off about the sticks and stone. And forgive me, I had to restart my computer, had a glitch, and it went off on me. So, but we'll go on anyway, and y'all willing, we'll keep going. So, sticks and stone will break their bone. How many of you ever heard that growing up? They tell you sticks and stone may break your bone, but you can finish it out. Words will never hurt you. But what did the scripture say about that? What did the word of the Most High say about that? Sticks and stones will break your bone, but words, what does it say about words? Just like you heard in the last scripture, I'm going to play this one more time. Negus. NaGaYaD. Negro. Niger. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit of it. Proverbs 18:21. Now that I got your attention, let's dig into the root of these words and discover the power within them. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, but they that love it would eat the fruit of it. They that love it will eat the fruit of it. I remember as an educator, I had I used to deal with a at-risk class, so I had all the kids in the school that the principal, counselors, and teachers deemed as risk of dropout. Those are ones who've been sent to the office. Those are ones who missed school, skipped school, or getting called out in class. So I had most of them. Most of them was male, and I had those. I have them at three times a week, and I covered most of the counties. And some of the things we dealt with is how to deal with pressure, conflict resolution. I dealt with a lot of other things, but most of it was identity. Most of those kids were crushed in their identity, and they and words they used was stuff they've been ingrained in since youth. And what we're going to talk about tonight is how the system, I'm going to say the system, because when we say the system, because most people want to say that a certain place is Babylon, but the system has brain hacked us, that words have hurt us and conditioned us to the point that we don't know the original root of words that was meant to extinguish us. Those words they've used to crush us. The very words they used to crush us. I'm gonna bring up some as we get ready. I'm gonna bring up a page to show you some of the very words that we grew up knowing that was used to crush us. And I don't want to get ahead because we're gonna have Pastor Kelly come on. We're gonna be dive into, but in 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 1. In fact, let me pull up that scripture before we start breaking down the word. 1 Samuel. I hope you can see it on screen. I hope I got the right one on screen. 1 Samuel. And when I first read this, guys, let me see. You don't see it? Do you see it on the screen? Chapter 10. This is going to be our text. Oh, you see, you don't see it? Oh, somebody said I don't see it. I might have the wrong screen up. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'll change that. We'll get it right. We will get it right. Here we go to the word. All right, you see it now, right? I think oh, here we go. Mine's on the delay. All right, 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 1. Then Samuel took a vial of oil and poured it upon his head and kissed him and said, "Is this not because of Yahweh has anointed thee to be captain over his inheritance?" His inheritance. Samuel took a vial of oil, poured it on his head. We're talking about Saul right now. And he said, is this not because that Yahweh, we know that Yahweh has anointed thee to be captain over his inheritance? And this is what we're going to dig into. Let me check to make sure before I get any further. Because that word right there, captain, what did he mean, captain? Was it was a military word?
Niger.
I'm sorry. Was it just a rank and position? What did he mean by captain? And we're gonna get into that. Everybody want? Here we go. We're gonna break down 1 Samuel. It's not because Yahweh have anointed the captain here. The word captain here, and I hope you can see this. The word captain here, NaGaYaD, followed by the proto Hebrew structures is always constant vowel consonants. NaGaYaD. Breaking down per letter: NGD, Na, Ga, Dalef, seed, life, hair, Galef, camel foot, carry, lift, and Dalef, door, authority. One lifting up as air with authority and access. A leader set apart by Yahweh. So he anointed him a leader set apart, NaGaYaD. Now, what does that word sound like? What does that word sound like? NaGaYaD. Now, those of you who are familiar, and I know if you've been on We Woke Now, Pastor Kev has done, I think, 3 or 4 different topics on this word, digging into the ancient Hebrew, how this word, which the colonizer have taken and changed and twist and used it as a way of to oppress, was ultimate meant to notify, to note one person, to point out a person, NaGaYaD. And where else do you see this word mean? We can go to another scripture. I'm going to take you to another scripture. I do not want to get ahead of. I know Pastor Kelly said he's going to be a little bit late, but I can't. I just want to get into this. Stop that one. Let's go to the scriptures on the next verse. So we went Psalms 10. Let's go to Acts. Everybody know this one. Acts 13, verse 1. Now there's several other scriptures. If you have a word study and put in this Strong's keyword, you'll get this word again. Now there were in the church that was in Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called, when you was in church, this was pronounced Niger. We know the proper pronunciation is not Niger. We know the proper pronunciation is. In fact, let me see. What is properly said, and I'm bothered. I don't think you can see. Can you see it on screen? Here we go.
Strong's G 3526. Niger.
This is the Strong's of that word. And you see what it means right here. But also, it rooted back to what Samuel was anointed. He was called Niger of Lucis and Syrian. That means he was a leader in that church. A leader. Now, let's think. And it's something we didn't do while we were in our certain areas. Some of us came out of Christian church. Some of us might came out of Jehovah's Witness. Some of us came out of other areas. Sometimes we didn't use critical thinking. We didn't use deductive reasoning. So if you look back to the root of these words and find that Saul was anointed king, he was the first king of Israel, and the scripture said that Niger was a leader, a king. That means, and it's also in the New Testament, was Simeon, who was called Niger. It says Niger, but it's pronounced. It's pronounced, and I'm gonna do the same thing just because they don't.
G 3526. Niger.
He was a head teacher. He led the church. So what is the pattern here? These words that was taken by the colonizers, and in fact, we know that the region that we was shipped from, if we look at the old maps, they call that area what? Nigeria. The area where right between on both sides of the Niger River, we were populating that area. That flew into the ocean, went back up to the Mali region where we populated that area. So the Niger River was flowing where our people were living. So these things tells me that they knew who we were. They knew how we used the language, but yet and still, when it came to us here, they twisted. They twisted. They made it. They use it. They use it to cause us to hurt. They use it to keep you down. They use it so you would think it's nothing. And see, this is the mind hack they put on us. The mind hack is that the power that was given to you by Yahweh, by the Most High, the anointing he put on that word, they took it, twisted, and turned it to evil. It's a byword now. It's a word of oppression now. And even in our oppression, and you know, I'm thinking as I think about this, you know, even our oppression, we taking that word and we try to twist it back, and most people use it as a word of endearment. I mean, I remember in school, I used to always go against the kids, say, "Hey, man, don't call yourself that. You're more than that. You're more than that." And at that time, I didn't know the root of the word. But in fact, I was waiting for Pastor Kelly to bring up that clip. We have the clip of an interview. In fact, I can bring it up because I know I have complete. If they spot me on YouTube for it, he's not gonna take it away from me. It's a clip where they interviewed KS1, and this guy would interview him about the word. KS1 went into deep dive, the root of the word and what it meant and how we got where we are and how they took it, and the importance for us as a people to know our history and to know the enemies that was formed against us. You know, the scripture said no weapon formed against us will prosper, and all those who rise against us will fall. But it's up to us not to sit back and let things happen to us too. It's up to us to know, okay, thus says the word. The word said the life and death in the power of the tongue. Okay, what's going on with me and these words that have been used against me? How can I go back and take my power back? And I can't find it right now. We might have to wait till you get. Well, while he wait, we'll go on, guys. We'll go on because I don't care if we have to go back and refresh, because anything refreshes is more knowledge. Amen. Because the more we learn. That word again. Here we go. Won't stay up. I'll get it, guys. Here we go. All right. That should be up now. Let's continue to break this down. And let me make it bigger so make sure you guys can see this. I want you to see this. And if anybody will drop a 1 in the chat, I'll make this available for you. You can take it and study on it also. If you want to go in and look deeper into this, you can take this study. It's just a scripture that I went in and did some study on AI. You can take this and look. If you put a 1 in track, you want to use this, okay, I'll make it available. I see 1. If not, I just email it to you. If nobody else want to use it, I email it to you. But I make it available because I don't want to force it. I don't want to force anybody to learn. But let's go and let's learn a bit more on this. Let's see. Let's start here.
Below is the breakdown of the word captain in 1 Samuel 10:1, using the correct ancient Paleo-Hebrew meaning, Strong's number, lexical data, and the restored sacred names, Yahweh, etc. Number 1, Samuel 10 verse 1, word study on captain, English KJV. Is it not because Yahweh hath anointed thee to be captain over his inheritance? Word captain. Hebrew word, nagid. NaGaYaD. Following the CVC Paleo structure, Strong's number H5057 NaGaYaD. Root breakdown. Root letters Ningi, NGD. Paleo Hebrew pictographs, letter, pictograph, meaning nin. Seed sprout, life, continuation air. Gamel, camel, foot. Carry, lift, raise up. Dalet, door, authority, access, pathway. Putting these concepts together, one lifted up as an heir with authority and access, a leader set apart by Yahweh. Lexical meaning, BDB strong ancient usage, NaGaYaD equals chief ruler, prince, leader, one who goes in front, one appointed by Yahweh, a leader elevated to govern the people, a ruler with divine appointment. This word does not simply mean captain as in a military commander. It means a divinely appointed leader or prince placed at the front of Israel. This is why Samuel anointed Saul privately. Yahweh was establishing him as the leader chosen from above, not elected by men.
Wow.
Paleo Hebrew meaning, one brought forward, lifted up, and appointed as ruler. The nun shows lineage and continuation. The Gamal shows being lifted or exalted. The Dalet shows authority and rulership. So the literal image is, Yahweh raises up a chosen seed and places him at the door of authority over the nation. Why captain was used in English. The KJV translators chose captain, but the Hebrew is much stronger. Prince, leader, ruler, governor, appointed head. This is why later verses say Saul was made king, because NaGaYaD is the initial installation of leadership before the public coronation. A divinely appointed prince leader set over Israel, not just a commander. Yes, a chosen ruler. Yes, appointed by Yahweh. Yes, elevated above the people through anointing. If you want, I can also break down the full.
Now, a divinely appointed prince leader. Why do they use it in English? Because they want to use captain. Because if they use NaGaYaD, they also go with Negus, where they use in Ethiopia. Negus come from Ethiopia. It also means king, ruler, prince. People can put two and two together. Negus. And also they know that there was one called Simeon who was a Niger, who was the head teacher in the church in Antioch. So they had to change the word. Now, this right here is case in point of why the colonizers, why the ones who kidnapped and took over the way, because the customs and the movement that the Messiah Yahweh did, Yahweh put and Yahweh Shai started, was the way, not the Christian church. They had to change these terms, because once you have the terms, you go back and know what, hey, this means something. This means something. And they didn't want us knowing what it meant. It was important to them to keep those words from us. So that's why they used that word in English, because the English verb had no power whatsoever. And you heard what it said. The Hebrew gave a more divine meaning than the English. I think Pastor Keller came on right. Pastor Keller, you there?
Yes, sir. I was trying to set my camera up here. My apologies. It was like as I mentioned to you, I was running late, and then
that's okay. We went rolling.
Let me set my camera up here. My apologies.
In fact, the very video I wanted to set, I had issues finding for some reason. But now, since you're coming on, I'm going to go ahead and put it up because we're digging deep into meaning, and I will play it one more time. Negus, NaGaYaD, Negro, Niger. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit of it. Proverbs 18:21. Now that I got your attention, let's dig into the root of these words and discover the power within them. Amen. That's what we want to do. We want to dig into the root of these words, and we want to discover the power that's in them. So let's get started. So, sticks and stone may break my bone. You heard that before, right, Pastor?
Yep, sticks and stones may hurt my bones. And names will never hurt me. That's what they say. But
exactly. But as growing up, and how names that was called to us by our parents, grandparents, siblings, those words hurt. I mean, I remember going through, a time in life where I was called certain names, and it stuck with me. In fact, it wasn't for the guidance of and wasn't an adult, but she was a person was older than me. That told me I could take that and use it as fuel to get over it. I probably have been scarred. So I thank the Most High there was somebody there to give me some kind of guidance. Said, don't be defined by what they call you, but be motivated to be more than that.
Yeah. And even with what you laid out with the Proverbs passage, life and death, or it's funny how it says death and life, right? Death is first. If we're not careful, especially when we're in this flesh, the first thing that can spew out our mouths is death.
Yes.
And you can take any word and make it into a proverb, a byword. I'm not sure if you remember Good Times, the episode after James had died,
right?
And what's her name? I can't remember her name now.
Florida.
She was now she was like now getting on the dating scene, so to speak, and the guy that was kind of interested in her, she was upset on his verbiage. You remember how when he was at dinner, he was like, "You are just so perfect." You know what I mean? And it burned her up. It got her upset, right? And when she went to when she discussed it with her family, they asked her, "Well, what did he say that was just so ugly? That was so nasty?" She was like, "Well, he said that I was perfect." And they're like, "Well, what's wrong with that?" And she was like, "Well, you just had to be there, so to speak, to hear how he said it." And so it's the same thing, certain words that was, and with the word that we're covering, it's not an ugly word, but it's how it was applied, which now makes so many of us apprehensive of, using the word, even though we use it in its proper context among ourselves, but it's something about when we hear somebody else use it, then another gear kicks in. So if we said that among ourselves, like, DMX had the famous song, we're good. But it's something about when we hear someone else say the word, it's like a whole different, a whole different tone, a whole nother spirit that is attached to it. And then that same word that was a word of, authority, a word of elevation, a word of, liberating, a word of confidence, authority, all those words now have been turned into a
weapon.
slang.
Exactly. And that's the thing that we were just going over, because something that was meant, it was empowered, been taken to use as a hammer, weapon to harm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, just as we're discussing, as we're speaking here, that's what this beast has done. This is what this system has done. That is part of the prophecies of Deuteronomy 28 for us, the consequences for going against the Most High, is how we were going to become a byword. So everything that was designated as being a blessing, was turned into a curse, so to speak,
Right.
terms of insults, terms of mockery, and we see that's one of those words, that you wouldn't, on the surface, most will never think that the word that we're going to cover was really a positive thing. But yet we, among our community in the slang, we use it in a positive, you know what I mean? Again, even DMX made the song.
Yeah. And I know you did a couple of videos on using this clip, and I did a video on this clip, and it shows the word and how it's used, and it used it in fun, but also I did it with the original with the teacher who used the word, how he was defending using the word. I'm gonna go ahead and play that right now before you start your teaching.
Okay.
Word that evokes many emotions in people. It's a derogatory racial remark that has divided people for many years.
And a Jefferson County high school teacher has now received the longest suspension on record for calling a student the N-word. WHAS 11's defender Renee Murphy investigates.
And what did he say specifically to you?
He said, sit down, nigga.
Riley Freeman is a third-grade student at J. Edgar Hoover Elementary School. He's a basketball player, an avid reader, and one day hopes to spread his philosophy through rap music.
Around his teacher's classroom door in December, the teacher told him to sit down, and the teacher says that Keyshawn used the N-word first.
And I just kind of was stunned a second. Well, then get away from the door, nigga.
Nigga! I just repeated the insult back to him because that's what I've been trained to do.
That is not what he's been trained to do.
School Superintendent Donald Richards says all teachers are taught to use appropriate hyphenated euphemisms instead of racial slurs.
We have a very strict policy against teachers using the N-word or any other racially insensitive words. The district's policy is that teachers should always say N-word instead of the actual N-word, or S-word instead of saying the actual S-word.
What is the S-word?
Well, I don't want to say it, but...
Spick?
No. Spear chucker.
ER is a racial slur, but says that students use NIGGA as often as they'd say dude or hey man. And Dawson says as much as he does not like the word, he still used the slang version to feel more comfortable with black students.
Why is this word used so frequently? So I just don't understand it.
I need help. Whenever I hear the rappers, they say, nigga! It's in all the music. Look. Rap songs that use the word nigga in a positive way. There's tons of them. Look, real nigga roll call. Niggas bleed. Jigga my nigga. Niggas for life. Real niggas don't die. Shame on a nigga. Suck a nigga. Ain't no nigga.
The school is investigating the incident. But in the meantime, Mr. Petto has been put on...
I've used it.
What is the S-word?
Well, I don't want to say it, but...
Spick?
No. Spear chucker.
So, Monty Nichols has a no jump in her second.
Us?
Man. That's the word. That's the word that's been thrown around. I think you're still muted, Pastor.
I haven't seen those words in a long time, and seen those videos because that would, many people don't know that actually came from a real incident, a real situation. And I actually, at that time, I was going to do a follow-up with that to show, the truth. But you know how it goes. You get YouTube did a few things at that time, and so deterred me. But again, even with the teacher using, when you listen to the actual interview, you kind of felt like he was using it as an opportunity.
Exactly.
It wasn't from what he was trying to express, but really, he really used it as an opportunity to be negative to use it as a name calling, not from a perspective like how we would use it among our community, but he was trying to kind of wiggle his way out of the situation.
He had a card. He had a card, a free card to say it. That's what he thought.
Yeah. You brought back memories on that one, man. Sit down.
I first saw that that episode, and like I said, and I was looking for the episode, and I found the real one. I said, "Wait a minute, here's the real one." So I said, and I saw how they stayed so close to the real one. So,
yeah. I mean, so funny, man, so funny. And so, that's pretty much what we're going to do today. Just really kind of walk everyone through to see or show that this word is really it wasn't a negative word. It was a term of royalty. And how did we get here? How do we get to this point to where now it's like, even with the lessons that I did, remember the lives that we did, YouTube flagged those videos. Even with using the Greek word, flagged the videos to minimize the reach. So it's pretty much like the scripture confirms of the manipulation of this beast, this fourth beast, the people that have enslaved us. And I know some of you guys probably saying fourth beast. Yes, when you read Revelation chapter 7, that fourth beast, the key to this fourth beast is it tells us that it was. You see the word diverse, and in Hebrew, that word diverse, shana, it means manipulative, altering, changing, modifying things. So that beast have a skill, an attribute that it can manipulate everything. And we've been subjected to that through all of these systems of man, starting with religion. We've been manipulated to think one way, almost like a mouse inside a maze, in a science lab. They already go ahead, Brian.
And the fact they flagged them, and I know they flagged your video when you taught on it, and they flagged you from teaching it, but it's still, I can go right now and search YouTube and find hundreds of gamers throwing that word around every fifth or seventh time they say a word. Or I can find, like I said, rappers. I can find people who shouldn't be using that word, of the other genus using that word, and it's out there, but it's okay for that. But we're teaching and bringing out knowledge and bringing out the truth, and they flag that.
And see, what stopped me from using that, continue with that video, because that video that you saw that's on my channel, they put the restricted 18 on it, and they said because it had pornography in it, sexual whatever in it. I'm like, there's no sexual content in any of my videos. But they tried to say that I had sexual images inside the video. And I appealed it saying, hey, do a manual review, and they denied it.
So for that reason, guys, we give this disclaimer. This is a commentary educational video. All content is used for commentary and educational purpose. All content that goes forth is strictly to educate and make commentation on current words and the origin of those words.
Amen. And that's where we are, family. We have to do disclaimers. You know what I mean? You've heard me do that as well, Berean Scholar. You hear me?
Yeah, that's why I got
disclaimers. Yeah, because
you have to. They make jokes. like I said, which you can see, I could go to another channel right now and pull it up, and you can find.
Yeah, it's all over. It's in the hip hop songs. I said it, I'm like, and even in my appeal, it's like, the word is all in hip hop songs, but they didn't say that they didn't target the word. They tried to say the video has sexual contents in it.
Mm.
And I'm like, I asked for a manual review and show me the timestamp of where this is supposedly, the timestamp of where it's supposedly be located within the video, and they couldn't do it, but they still denied it. It gave me a strike with it. I mean, no, they didn't give me a strike. They just restricted the video, saying that, when people click on it, at the time it was giving you a disclaimer saying that you confirm that you're 18 and older.
Well, we're gonna push the truth out, guys, and thank you for you guys who are logging on. Thank you for all the ones in chat. Please hit the like button. Please hit the share button. Let's get this truth out. And like we said last night, make sure you share this on your YouTube. So it's easiest to stop 1 or 2 people, but when we have 40, 50, hundreds of people doing the same thing, it's hard to do that. So we can get this truth out.
And I'm gonna skip down here. This is some additional history, but I'm just going to start with where we are. Let me get my mouse here, because we're going to start with King Saul. So I'm going to just scroll on down here. This is giving some history of Spain, Portugal, proving that the Israelites there are Negroes. But just for the sake of time, we'll start right here, because we'll be able to really hone in on the word. And we could do that, the other part of it at a later time, that's convenient for you. So, but anyone but who? The Negroes, right? Let me say that again. Anyone but the Negro. And, I'm not going to go into it, but there's a history behind what and why I came up with this thought. And really it stemmed from the Messiah. That anyone can say Christ looks like them except for us. Exactly. Anyone can claim to be an Israelite, but us. So that's the logic behind it. And it stemmed from a conversation that I had with a contractor, a Microsoft contractor, who came to do some work for me when I was working for a particular company, and we went out to lunch. All right. So, and I said to him, you would rather worship a Martian Christ than a Negro Messiah. So anything but the Negro.
A Martian Christ.
Yeah. And the reason why I said Martian Christ, because after he and I had our discussion, and he said, make a long story short, he said, I believe Christ, after what I said, proving that, for example, I share with him images of the Egyptian wigs from the 18th dynasty, showing that they were Negroes. So when he saw those things, and I just had nothing but proof, he said, well, he said, with that being said, I said, I have to concede, and I believe that Christ was olive. I said, olive. So you saying people with these braids, people with this, people with that, you saying that they were olive. He said, well, I believe he wasn't black. He wasn't white. I believe he was olive. I said, okay. Do you know what color an olive is? Truly. So then I pulled up, I said, pull up olive, Oxford Dictionary. He pulled it up, and I say, you see where it says olive? It says unripe, green, yellowish. And I said, for ripe olive, you see the word, the description, blue-black.
Blue-black.
Right? Black and blue-black.
Exactly.
I said, so based upon that, you are saying that Christ, the Messiah that you worship, is a corpse. He's dead. I said, he's sick. And I said, pretty much he's a Martian.
Exactly.
I said, what? I said, yeah, because all the Martians that you see, they are green. So you would rather worship a Martian Christ than the Negro Messiah. Literally, I did a whole lesson based off of that there.
And you had them nailed too, because that's the, sometimes they don't know that they internally, that's what they feel.
Yeah.
Internally, that's what they feel. Anything but The Negro.
That's right. That's right. I thought you was gonna play the clip.
Anything but
5, 6. Niger. Niger.
I ain't quick as you on that.
But family, that's the truth. And that's the tone that we see when it comes to our community. That's applied to our community. So that's what really sparked the whole thought. That's the story behind it. It's more to it, but in this short version, that's what triggered it, based off a conversation, and that conversation occurred about 10 years ago. And I came up with a lesson titled "Anything But the Negro," and you'll see clips from Independence Day when it was on the top of the building with signs celebrating. So I took those clips and embedded it within the presentation. But nevertheless, anyone but the Negro. So what we're going to do here is just kind of walk you through the biblical text, as well as giving you some additional references on what this word is, far as where did the word Negro come from? Because many of us think that Negro, and I'll just say Niger, are two different words. They're not synonymous. They're not the same. And I'm here to tell you they are the same. And it was not a negative thing. And man, if you had it, I would say if you could pull, if you have a chance, Berean Scholar, while I'm doing this, if you want to pull up the spelling bee from ESPN, the National Spelling Bee, because I had that embedded in my video too. The National Spelling Bee.
So we're going to give clarity tonight.
You got it up here. Okay. So yeah, in the National Spelling Bee, a kid was asked to spell Negus or Negus, right? Listen to how he said it. Here it is.
Ready?
Yep.
There you go.
Negus.
One more time.
Nigger.
Negus.
Negus. Nigga.
Negus.
So we're going to give clarity.
So he was asked to spell this word, and you could see, if you saw the full video, he was nervous, and he kept asking for clarity, and then he even asked, "Can you use it in a sentence?" You know what I mean? And when he finally spelled it, you could see like a whole weight of the world, was released. So it's real, family. A lot of us just don't.
Video.
Oh, go ahead.
Keep. I'm gonna get it for you.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead into the lesson while you do that, and I'll just when you're ready, just let me know when we get to a stopping point, and you could go ahead and share with the people.
Negus.
Negus. What is the language of origin?
Ethiopian to Amharic.
What is the definition?
A king. It's used as a title of the sovereign of Ethiopia. Negus.
Negus. Could you use it in a sentence?
The Negus ruled Ethiopia until the coup of 1974.
Negus. Could you repeat the definition?
A king. It's used as a title of the sovereign of Ethiopia. Negus.
Negus.
Andrew, would you say the word loudly for the judges?
Negus.
One more time.
Negus.
Negus.
Negus. Negus. Negus. Negus.
And I think in my video, at the end, I played DMX.
But
Man, when he said can you use it in a sentence? And he said the niggas rude.
he didn't want to. He didn't want to get this wrong. I got the words coming in my mind, but I know that's not the word.
Man, when I first saw this, man, and that's what I posted, and as you saw, I kind of mixed it all together. And I
Yeah.
was doing a few videos on that, but to let the people know that this was not something that started out as being a negative word. It was positive.
The title,
So we're
the
gonna
definition is right there on the screen.
right on the screen. You know, a king used as a title of sovereign of Ethiopia. All right, and so, that's what we're going to talk about today. And we just want you guys to really think about that and use this as an icebreaker to talk to your family. And see, for me, I was
Good
always
idea.
looking for
Good one. Good
icebreakers.
one.
I was always looking for icebreakers. You know, from the Most High enjoying fried food, and of course, hey, what he like fried food? Yeah. And then when I showed them the frying pan in Leviticus 2, you know, just little things like that, you can use it as an icebreaker to trigger conversation and loosen, you know, the I would say the contention that
Yeah.
may be if you come straight out trying to witness to them. So, but anyway, anyone but the Negro family, and that's the thought. And let's go to build on this, and so that way you guys can see the biblical meaning of this word, because Ethiopia, Ga'az, is a Shemitic language. A lot of people don't know this, but it is a Shemitic language that is under the umbrella of Hebrew, under the umbrella of some of the others that had a Shemitic language, even though they may have been from other communities, whether it's a Hamitic community, it's still a Shemitic language. All right. So anyone but the Negro. So for, let's see here. No, that's just from the Bible study. Let me just fast forward here. I forgot to take this out. All right. So let's start with King Saul, right? And let me fast forward. I'm going to just start with the passage. My apologies. I forgot to take those slides out. But anyway, we're going to start with the passage. Then Shemawa'al, Samuel, took a vial, shaman, oil, and poured it upon his head, Ra'ash, and kissed him, and said, "Is it not because Yahweh hath Mashach," in other words, anointed thee to be captain, NaGaYaD? And NaGaYaD comes from the primitive root word NaGaYaD, over his inheritance. All right, so make a note of that. So King Saul was anointed to be a captain. He was anointed to be a captain. He was anointed to be over Israel. So let's pull up the definition of this here, right? You see here, of course, this is the Israeli pronunciation of this NaGaYaD, or when you see the Kret Yod in Israeli, this makes a E sound. And then if it's just a dot, it'll make more of a eh sound. You're right. So NaGaYaD here would be NaGaYaD. All right. But anyway, not getting into all of that. But in the ancient Hebrew, it would be pronounced NaGaYaD. And the primitive root, which is spelled like this, would be NaGaYaD. All right. So NaGaYaD, commander, civil, military, or religious. We see governor, but then it says leader, but then some other terms here of leadership: noble, prince, chief ruler. So what if I told you that NaGaYaD is the Hebraic word for Negro? What if I told you guys that? Yeah, I know some would say, yeah, right, man. Nah, you're not gonna get me to believe that one. But we're gonna connect the dots here. We're gonna connect the dots. So what is the meaning of Negro? And for some of you guys that may not know this, but Beethoven Shakespeare, and even her this lady right here. What's her name?
That's the woman that
Shakespeare, Dark Lady.
yeah.
I can't think of her name now. But I did a full lesson on them. But all of them were Israelites. She was an Israelite. Her whole family was very gifted in music. They were Israelites. All right, but they also were classified as being Moors. Right, that was the title for being dark. That wasn't what we see today. But they all were. She was from Italy. Her entire family.
And that's funny when you read in the history, and then there's lots of books about Shakespeare's Dark Lady, how she was a muse or inspiration for him, but they say Dark Lady.
Yes, and so let me see. I got her name here. Just now that I mention it, Amelia Bassano Lanier. Right, and this is the book right here, Shakespeare's Dark Lady, and I encourage you guys to peep that book out. It's a lot of great information in there, but it makes it clear that she is an Israelite. She's dark, melanated like us. And so I encourage you guys to peep that out. All right, so let's go back over here. What is the meaning of Negro? Let's go to the etymology dictionary definition of this word. We see member of a black-skinned race of Africa. So we have to understand, family, race is not an ancient construct. It's a construct that was created a couple of hundred years ago. Actually, I want to say about 300 years ago, and then backdated. Because back in the biblical times or the ancient times, they did not operate via your skin complexion. They operated on bloodline, lineage, right? So when you see Israelites, yes, you see descriptors of us being dark melanated in the scriptures, but overall, it was all about making sure we understood bloodline. So when we see that word race is a modern construct, right? To separate, and then apply a caste system. And of course, those that are identified as being black is at the lower end of this caste system. And then it's used to associate stereotypes, lumping everyone together. It's a number of other things. I did a whole lesson on that. So I just want to make sure you guys understand this. But nevertheless, Negro, a member of a black skin, I don't even like to say race because I know it's wrong, but I would just say a people from Africa. But you see here, Spanish or Portuguese, Negro. It says black from Latin, negrum. Nominative, Niger or Niger. This is not Niger, that how we've been taught to give it a J sound, a soft sound. It's a hard sound. That G is hard, right? Black, dark, sable, dusky, right? Gloomy. Look at the negative portion that it added to it too. Gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked. Now you see the colloquialism that's added to it. And this here is primarily done here in the United States. The United States added this to it: gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked. Even when you see dusky, it's like, you know what I mean? The descriptors are not, they really have a negative tone to it. All right. It goes on to say the Latin word for word also applied to the people of Africa. So you see, when you really read this, they're making a distinction between the Negroes in the United States and the Negroes that are in Africa. And I'm going to show and prove this when I share with you the Negro laws of South Carolina. They made a distinction between the definition of Negroes here in the Americas versus the Negroes that are scattered outside. All right. So let's continue here. So you see here, but the usual terms were Ethiops or Afar. All right. So you could either see Ethiops, or this is where you get the word ether, because this is two words. Ethiop, I mean Ethi, that's dark, burnt, right? This is where you get the word ether. Right? Ops, right? That's face. So this right here will tell you this means what? Black face or dark face, burnt face, or whatever, based upon this construct. And the original name for the Atlantic Ocean, before they changed it from the Ethiopian Ocean, after they changed it from the Ethiopian Ocean, it went from that to all the way to the Atlantic. And Atlantic, that first portion of it comes from ether, eth, or eighth. I hope that makes sense. All right. And then you see Afer. Guess what? Afer is the name of one of Abraham's sons.
Yeah.
Through Keturah. Josephus makes a note of that. But anyway, so family, but we get the gist of it here. It says the Latin word also was applied to Negroes, Negro people of Africa. It's just me. I just get so it makes me cringe when I'm using these racial descriptions and constructs that they put together to box us under a color and strip us further of our identity. So when you see black, that is under the institution of race. It's a social construct. It literally says it, a social construct, a social identity construct that was created specifically to draw lines.
Exactly.
And the what's her name of the anthropologist? I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but I use her references a lot. But she makes it clear. I can't think of her name, but this particular anthropologist makes it clear that this term race has no scientific foundation.
None.
It was all about to create a new social identity.
It's a
so
social
identity
construct.
matters.
Social
So when
construct.
you say black, guess what? Black, you're embracing a social identity that was created by a guy by the name of Johann Blumenbach, who was a Germanic, you might as well say Ashkenaz, because German Ashkenaz is synonymous. He's the one that came up with the system. So that's why when you hear me hesitate, is because I know when you say black, you're embracing a social identity created by the very people that have hijacked our identity. All right. So I just want to, Audrey Smedley, that's her name. Audrey Smedley, she did a whole article or writing on this for PBS. All right. And if we have time, I'll drop the link inside the comment section, because I'm not sure if it's still available, but you can at least go to the Wayback Machine and retrieve it. All right. Because of all what they're doing, the government is doing with stripping things down from companies that are get government grants from. They're doing a lot of stuff. All right. So let's continue, family. So we see here an adjective from 1590s with a capital N became general early 20th century. And it gives the New York Times reference here in reference to U.S. citizens of African descent. So it's saying they put a capital N on this word, so that way it'd be a term that is used by us inside this country. But because of its perceived association with white imposed attitudes and roles, the word was ousted late 1960s in the sense by black. All right. So the Latin word also was applied to, again, this quote from this source. The Latin word was also applied to the black peoples of Africa that was usually but the usual term were Ethiops. All right. So when we break down this word Ethiops or Ethiop, however you want to pronounce it, we see here Negro. So this is making it clear that this is synonymous to who? Negro. This is why you see what? Negro land. That's one of the reasons why you see it on maps, because Negro land, that's synonymous to saying Ethiopia, Ethiopian territory. But anyway, so you see Ethiops, Ethiopian, Negro, Greek, Aethiops, long supposed in popular etymology from to be from Athen to, as you see here, burnt plus face, ops, Athean plus ops, face, and it says here fire looking, later sunburn. And I'm telling you some crazy stuff out here. I actually saw a white group, a Caucasian group, did a 30-hour video literally trying to say that the Ethiopians were originally Caucasian and that their faces were burned. Anyway, all right. So remember, Athean. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
They be fishing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It's a lot of stuff out here. So from Athean to, which means to burn, plus ops, face. So that's almost like saying that's the original term for black folks.
Op face, yeah.
So when we look at the word ether, and this is where it comes from, it says upper regions in space. So when you look up into space, it's what? Ether. Think about what happened in Thor's movie. I believe it was part 2, with his girlfriend or whomever. She got her skin got ether injected into her body, and the ether. What color was the ether? It was ruddy.
Yep.
Got injected into her body, and she became unstable. Her body couldn't handle it. Doesn't that sound familiar? With the melanin injections that many are using, Caucasians are using, with all kinds of side effects. But anyway, so ether, upper region of space, the upper pure bright air, sky, firmament. We see to burn, shine. And again, to burn, we see it again. Proto-Indo, we see aid, which means to burn. Let's go to the Oxford dictionary of this. This is the compact dictionary of it. And family, it was a miracle for me to be able to get what you see on your screen. I have this book sitting right here. I'm gonna show you guys here real quick.
You pulling out the actual book? Wow. Hold up. That's the actual set.
This is the actual set. You see how big it is?
Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this.
And a magnifying glass. That's somebody who invests in knowledge. Wow. So this is just a snapshot of your set you have.
I'm just moving it out the way so I won't trip over it.
This is just a snapshot of the set you have in your library.
Repeat that again, my brother. I'm sorry.
What's on screen right now is just a snapshot of your actual set that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's somebody who invests in knowledge. That's somebody who digs and digs for wisdom.
So family, this is not me going to Google, because you wouldn't even find this online. So I ordered this actual book. I got a number of dictionaries, to study languages and study keywords, right? And as you can see here, this is a screenshot. And for me to even get a screenshot like this legible, as you see the magnifying glass that came with it, I actually had to buy one myself that had lights around it, so it brightened it up, and then put my phone over it and take a picture of it.
Dang.
and clean it up. So I just want to show you guys, to make it clear, this is not an easy task, and the text is like micro, almost like microfilm. That's how tiny it is.
Yep.
That you literally need a magnifying glass to read it. All right. So this is confirming what we just read out of the etymological dictionary definition online. As you see here, it says here, Aethiops general. We see here, giving us the general or generic Aethiops or Aethiopis, but it goes on to say Ethiopian, commonly to believed to be burnt face, to mean primarily burnt face. Goes on to say, as we see, a fiery looking, later sunburnt, or it goes on to say same or cognate elements. The formation is however, not clear, and some have supposed the word. Do I need to zoom in, or you guys can read this? I want to make sure
I
you
can make it better. There you go.
All right, because I could zoom it in more if you need me to.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
All right. So, and some have supposed the word to be an etymolizing corruption of a foreign ethnic name. In English, now always with initial capitals. So remember, look at what it says. It says, some have supposed the word to be an etymolizing corruption of a foreign ethnic name. And when I did a lesson, I was just doing a study, thorough research on the deception of the English language. And this was part of my quest to really see all the deceptive constructs that's there that are like roadblocks, stumbling blocks on our people, and people that's just trying to learn the truth. But anyway, it says the Ethiopians are mentioned by Homer as a people dwelling in the Far East, the Far West, and later Greek. The name was applied chiefly to the inhabitants of Africa south of Egypt, but also to peoples of swarthy complexion in other parts of the world. So why is this important? The explorers during that time, like when you look at some of the older maps, you'll see that Africa actually went by the name of Ethiopia. You'll see the Ethiopian Ocean. You'll actually, when you study India was known as East Ethiopia, right? And this is where you get the word ganja, right? Ganja, or I think today they call it Granger, but ganja, GAGN. GA or whatever, ganja or whatever. I think that's how you spell it. I'm just saying it off the top of my head. But this all interconnects. I'm not going to get into that other portion of it. We could save it for another discussion on this to show how that ties into this. But all of that, it was called Ethiopia. And then whenever the explorers, for example, when they came here to the Americas, right? James Adair, you can look him up. James Adair, he compared the natives that he came across to being comparable to the Ethiopians in their complexion, many of them. So this is where you start getting into the layers, right? When you see the term blue-black, right? Many was referred to looking what? Blue-black. This is where you get indigo. Indigo is the color of what? Blue.
Blue, dark blue.
Dark blue. You see how you start pulling out these terms, Indian? So nevertheless, but that was like the baseline whenever they traveled at that time. If they saw anyone that was dark, they compared them to what? Ethiopians. That's why it says here, literally equal Ethiopian, hence usually a person with a black skin, a what? Black or more, and you still see the root what? More.
More.
And so when you see the phrase here, to wash an Ethiop, to attempt the impossible. So this is saying, can an Ethiopian change his skin? All right. So to wash an or Ethiop, in other words, wash to make white, to attempt the impossible. And this ties into Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? All right. So a dark-skinned person, a person's dark skin and a leopard's spot are fixed features of their being. Now, of course, we know that we're living in a day and time now. People are doing all kinds of bleaching and chemicals, but you still see the features there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And they do look, and I'm not saying this from an insult, but they look sickly because you can look at it and tell that it's not natural. All right. So a dark-skinned person cannot make his skin lighter, nor can a leopard change its spots. That's what it means. So when we go to this word Negro, right? Again, I laid it out, but going back to this word Negro again, it says meaning African American, vernacular, the English languages as spoken by U.S. blacks, is from 1704. Look at what we see here, Negri, right? Or Negri, borrowing from Spanish Negro. Older English words were more and blackamoor. So you see the connection from Negro to what? The Moors, to the word Ethiopian. And look at what it says here. A Middle English word for Ethiopian, also perhaps also a Negro generally. But look at what it says here, was blue men.
Blue men.
They were ripe olives. So Negro had a unique meaning in the United States, as we pointed out. But this is what I touched on earlier in this presentation, in this video, how South Carolina had a special definition for Negroes. The Americans had a special definition for Negroes in this country. And this is Negro Law of South Carolina, John Belton O'Neill, 1848, page 9. Section 1 of the Negro Law of South Carolina, the status of the Negro, his rights and disabilities. Section 1, the Act of 1740, Section 1 declares all Negroes and Indians, in other words, free Indians, in enmity with this government, Negroes, mulattoes, and mestizos, who now are free, accepted. But it goes on to say, to be slaves, right? The offsprings to follow the conditions of the mother. And the slaves, such slaves are chattel personal. Going back to Berean scholar video that he did earlier, and then also in the discussion that we had, when you understand the word chattel, it's synonymous to the word cattle, because chattel comes from the word cattle.
Yep.
So it goes on to say in Section 2, under this provision, it has been uniformly held that color is prima facie evidence that the party bearing the color of a Negro, mulatto, or mestizo is a slave. But the same prima facie results does not follow from the Indian color. Section 4. Now, this is key. This is what I was getting at about the definition of Negro here in the United States is different outside of it. The term Negro is confined to slave Africans. In other words, the ancient Berbers and their descendants. It does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa, such as the Egyptians, Moors, or the Negro Asiatics, such as the Lascars. Any comments, Berean scholar?
No, you keep going, keep going.
All right. So you see byword. Remember this tying into what Berean scholar highlighted in Proverbs about death and life and the power of the tongue. Right. And also the consequences in Deuteronomy 28, the byword. So they're taking things that was a positive and made it into a negative. So what is the title of a Judeo-Spanish speaking Israelite? Why I'm asking this question? Because I want to give you guys some history. Look at this here. The cultural and historical geography of Southwest Guatemala, page 12 and 13, right? And this is what I'm going to be reading this section right here. Though the etymology of the word Ladino is obscure and somewhat confusing, the definition given by Valquez de la Cadena, excuse me if I'm butchering this, that's not my language here, but nevertheless, Dictionary 1868 edition is enlightening. Entry number 1, versed and an idiom, speaking various languages fluently. So make a note of that. Speaking languages, multiple languages, that's key. But let's go down to 3. This is what really ties it all together. Negro Ladino, a Negro who speaks Spanish so as to be understood. All but the third meaning were given also in the Dictionary of the Spanish Royal Academy, 1791. So this is saying that they gave the first 2 definitions, but they didn't want to include this here. This tells you that they were erasing our history. It's really the word Ladino pointed to our people. Does that make sense to everyone? Is that clear, Berean scholar?
Yes, that's the Mezzo, Mezzo. It was
Mestizo.
Mestizo, yeah. That's the Spanish black mix.
And see, it really wasn't those that were mixed. But that's where they start making that reference like they were mixed.
Well, yeah, because they helped from the Caribbeans.
Yeah. So really, Ladino is a Negro speaking multiple languages. So it wasn't, in Mestizo, that's when they start trying, adding it like mixture and all that stuff. And, but when we look at it here, this entry, as it says here, all but the third meaning were given also in Dictionary of the Spanish Royal Academy. So they started removing these type of entries from their books, further erasing us. And see, and going back to the mestizos, and this is where it could be a deceptive here, because let's just say you have a Negro that is called the Negro European mixed with a Negro, let's just say from Italy. This term can still apply. And that's one of the early issues with DNA, because when I first did Ancestry, it shared 10% European. It just said 10% from Britain. And when I did the further drill down and getting clarity on that, it's because Negroes were in those territories. It didn't equate to Caucasian like I thought it did. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah, because most that's the stereotype that most people say when the people who hail from the Puerto Rico, Caribbean, with the other side of the Haitian islands, those people are our people.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, that's how they would use that word, that if someone from Puerto Rico, a Negro from Puerto Rico, had children from someone here in the United States.
Although it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who are these Hebrew and Spanish-speaking Negroes that this entry refers to? Guess what, family? Real quick, it's us. What Brown can do for you, right? And this is coming from Michael Brown. Remember Dr. Michael Brown that I share his clips all the time, right? I had his book before I even knew who he was ages ago, right? Studying the Spanish Inquisition. And he gives some information on that, but not going to go into the details of it. But the thing that he was highlighting here I'll just read it real quick. All this is common knowledge. In other words, the Inquisition isn't over. But how many of us know that there was one particular heresy the Spanish Inquisition sought to uncover and destroy? There was a witch hunt against baptized Jews who maintained any vestige of Jewishness. These Catholic Jews, called Marranos, family, these were Negroes.
Yep.
That's why I want to point this out. Covering up history, man. I'm not going to read all of this, but I just want to point that out and how this is tied to the Spanish Inquisition. But getting back over to this point, is Negro interchangeable with Niger or Niger, which is Niger? Is it interchangeable with it? And I'm trying to say it in a way to make sure you don't get flagged.
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
There you go.
So is it interchangeable with it? Is it connected to it? In the online etymology dictionary, we see a connection between these two words. The online etymology dictionary compared, when I make the comparison to the Barnhart Concise Dictionary of Etymology, right? Let me show you, family. Berean Scholar, can you share the screen real quick?
What?
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
No, I mean, if you could show my screen, I want to show the book.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
All right. Oh, wait, so am I sharing my camera? Let me share my camera.
Okay, your camera's not on.
All right, All right, so it's this book right here. Oops.
There you go.
All right, so this is screen prints from here. All right, so that's what you see on your screen. So that's why I say don't be solely dependent on what you see online, because they making subtle changes to definitions. And I've gone back over some of my old screen prints and I can point out some of the changes. So that's the whole point too of the way I do my presentations, family, is I'm capturing what's at that time. You know what I mean? And it's a signature, a timestamp of what was then compared to where things are now.
And I had this conversation earlier with somebody else about we don't solely depend on on chat, but we use it as a search on certain things. And most of the time we have to use other books and excerpt from other books to make sure chat's in line. So yes, don't depend solely on it, because sometimes those things are in books and they don't want you to know that knowledge, and they're going to have patent answers to give you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So family, that's why it's important to have these two available. I was trying to go back here, but having an actual etymology dictionary available so you can make the connection. I should have just did it this way. So we see again, going back to Negro, the etymology, and we see the noun, right? As a matter of fact, if I go back here and what's behind here, you see Negro, right? And then we see here, the Latin word also applies to Black peoples of Africa, but the usual term were Ethiops or Afar. So I just want to share that here, right? But let's go to the actual etymology dictionary that I had up here. And let's see that entry. Let me go back over here to this screen grab right here, the slide. So this is the word Negro, not Jew. It should be Negro. That's incorrect in that caption. But as you can see, this is screen drop right here from this book. But it says 1555, black-skinned person from Africa or of African descent, borrowed from Spanish or Portuguese Negro, black, Negro from Latin Niger, black. So it makes it straight to the it just straight to the point, right? You see a difference, right? The other one had all this fluff there. This is what? Straight to the point. So we see the connection here, Negro to Niger. Okay. So are there any proof that the disciples were Negroes? Well, let me just show you one little source here. Got a lot of them, but some of them I do internally. And Berean Scholar know we got so many different sources that we could share, but you always got to keep some, like they would say in the military, on your person just for certain discussions, right? Mm-hmm. And if I'm having discussions with pastors, I'll bring this out, right? In other sources. But Nigel, which is Nigel rather, Rogers, Roman Empire, page 430. What does that look like to you guys?
That looked like a brother with a beard. Two brothers with a real.
And in the caption here, the Apostle Peter and Paul from an early 4th century AD Romans bas relief, St.
Bring that back
Peter's,
up.
Rome.
Bring that back up. I love it when in anthropology they show that they depict themselves like they really looked.
Now, do they look like what we see today?
Those are TWAs. And everybody know what TWAs are. Teeny weeny afros. Yeah, the nose is a giveaway. The nose is a giveaway.
And you see how they tried to do like the common common theme is chip the nose.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They tried to. Yeah, they tried like it was accident on the nose. They do that. What it did in Egypt. Yeah, all the way around. They don't get the eyes or the ears. They get the nose or the lips.
In this section right here, this is the screen grab from up in top. I just zoomed it in so you can see it larger. Again, below the Apostle Peter and Paul from an early 4th century AD Roman bas relief, St. Peter's, Rome, was one of the first great basilicas. So look at again, let's share it one more time. They know who we are.
If I was you guys, I'll make a screenshot of this one. I'll make a screenshot so you can keep it in your arsenal.
I'll move my mouse out the way so you guys can do that.
Because this is Apostle Peter and Paul. And that's what we read, which is I am a Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin.
Come on now. As Mr. The Original went KRS-One, my philosophy. Are you a philosopher? Yes. Chirry, chirry, yes. Anyway. So
that Benjamin, that tribe look.
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, family, it's so many resources that are out there that they try to remove or hide from us. But because they did these digital made all these books, digitize all these books. Now those same books we can have access to. You're trying to restrict it now, but it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the bottle. All right. Acts 13:1, and I'm not going to go into the full details because I can prove every last one of these individuals here are Israelites, right? But as it reads here, now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon that was called Niger, right? But not Niger, it was called Niger.
It was called
G 3526. Niger. Niger.
All right. And see, this is where it gets into the weeds when you start understanding that word, right? Because is it describing his skin complexion or is it describing his title? Like special ed, I'm the highest. Anyway, I'm your idol, the highest title, the numero uno.
You own it tonight, ain't you?
Huh?
You own it tonight. You going back.
So
way back.
Yeah. See, you went way back before, and then Wolfman Jack taking it way back in the time. Anyway, but look at this, family. So this is where, for me, knowing that word nigger or nigger, and of course today they try to call it Niger. Is it a topic of authority because it's documented that Simeon is over this entire assembly?
Come on now.
So is this referring to him as being dark skinned? Or is it saying that he is what? The leader over this entire assembly? Because Antioch is a large place. It's not like how we see today. Like, let's just say, Berean scholar, let's just say if he's living in Charlottesville, right? Or Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's just say if he's living there, right? Not saying he's living there. I'm just using that as an example, family. So don't go showing up in Charlotte trying to look for him.
Yeah, you won't find
right. But where I'm getting at is, in the biblical times, right? You wouldn't have all these different assemblies. It would just be called the Assembly of Charlotte. So he was responsible for all the people
Antioch.
at this location at Antioch. Not a location within Antioch and someone else is responsible for another location at Antioch. No, he was responsible for all. All right. So we see here again, Barnabas, Simeon, that was called Niger, Lucius of Cyrene, and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch, and Saul. So we can prove that. I can walk this out and prove it. And I'm going to answer this question: is Negro interchangeable or connected to Niger, as we just pointed out?
G 3526. Niger. Niger.
So what is the proper pronunciation? You just heard it. That's a strong Hebrew strong entry. I'm not going to play it because Berean Scholar has it up. But as you see here, and family, this is how you can use this as an icebreaker with your family. Pull it up. Let them hear the actual audio, because this is not something that we created. This is online. Exactly. You could go to the Blue Letter Bible online right now, and you could go to this word, and you can play it, and it'll play, and you'll hear it. Exactly. Strong's G 3526. And that's what Berean Scholar has been playing. All right. So the etymology dictionary definition of nigger. Look at what it says. African nation named for the river. You notice how it says Niger is how people would pronounce it, but it's what? Nigger. Mentioned by the name 1520s Leo Africanus, probably an alteration by influence of Latin niger, which means black. So it's giving you more information on it. Big River Sea, river of rivers. All right. The Greek dictionary definition of this word, as Berean Scholar played, look at what it says here. Surname of the prophet Simeon. Niger equal black. So we are to believe that Niger means black in Latin is supposedly a surname for a so-called non-blood descendant of Israel who has an Israelite name. Did you think about that before, Berean Scholar?
Nope, I did not.
This so-called non-blood descendant of Israel, according to this word, is dark-skinned, black or more, has a Hebrew name, but he's not an Israelite. He's over all the Israelites. Even though when you read, I believe it's Acts chapter 13 or chapter 11, either 11 or 13, it makes it clear that the Israelites only witness to Judah.
Right.
But we are supposed to believe that, he is not an Israelite. Like they say, I was born yesterday, but not what? Last night?
I was born at night, but not last night.
Exactly. I was born at night, but not last night. That's right.
Exactly.
I butchered it, but yeah. So we are to believe that Niger, which means black in Latin, is supposedly a surname for a so-called non-blood descendant of Israel who has an Israelite name. But you could prove with scripture who he is. And all four of them. Simeon. It says the name of 5 Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't say the name of 5 Israelites and a Gentile or a non-Israelite.
5 Israelites.
You see how they can't cover it all up. Something's still seeping through. Look at this here.
Oh, they list them.
Look at this here. A teacher at the church of Antioch.
One of the 5. I could do math.
I'm not making this up, family. This is the in-depth definition of this word. And Simeon is listed. He's the teacher at Antioch. You see how you see how we just slammed that down? He's an Israelite. Simeon is an Israelite. All right.
All right, guys. YouTube trying to play with our chat now. I think they're kicking out some of our moderators.
Yeah, I think it's because of let's not use the audio again. You know what I mean? Because
that what they said with pornography. That
I think
audio?
it's probably triggering it. Because remember, I use that now that I think about it, and the audio. I mean, the people start getting kicked out.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. Don't just for the sake of not being flagged, because I want to make sure you don't get flagged because you're putting a lot of work in, and I don't want them to do anything like trying to demonetize and all that other stuff.
That's all right. That's all right. We're gonna get the truth out, brother. We're gonna get it out. And thank you guys for hitting the like button. Thank you guys for sharing. We will break these barriers, and we will get the truth out because of people like you.
And so you see how their algorithms or whatever is targeting the truth.
The truth. Because he's uncovering right here what the scripture said about it was 5 Israelites. And you're right, Pastor. I was taught that he wasn't an Israelite, that because they didn't want that name Niger, because they knew what the real pronunciation was Niger, associated with the Israelites.
And then when you go to the dictionary, it lists them. It says 5. Let's go back here, family. So y'all can get this. It says the name of 5 Israelites. And this is, I didn't put the in-depth down here. I'm going to update the screenshot so that way you can see it. But yeah, matter of fact, you know how we do, man. Let me put it in here so you guys can see it. And then we'll continue. I'll skip to some of the meat and potatoes connecting the dots here. But yeah, Berean Scholar, I don't want you to, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You're doing some great work here, and I just don't want them to try to limit the reachability of what you're doing here. Let's see here. That is 4826. Let me see here. All right, come on. All right, let's see here. G4826. And I'm going to just take a screenshot here and copy it. All right.
Oh, I forgot. I could have done that.
No, it's all good, but I like to put it inside here anyway.
Take the sound down.
What's that?
I could have just took the sound off.
Oh yeah.
I took it. When you said I took it off, I should have left it there.
All right, so I'm going to put this inside here, family, so you guys can see. Let me see here. Where's the? So, family, they know who we are.
Oh yeah,
but it's a joint effort in suppressing this truth, and that's what we're witnessing, a joint effort. So let me put that here.
And while he's doing it, as far as you look back, guys, I mean, we've done some. I've done some reading on some things of founding fathers who knew who we were. the writers of the Constitution, and they knew who we were. These books that we are digging out of, they had those books. The books that if you saw We Woke Now presentation he did on I think it was Thursday night. Was it Thursday night the one they tried to shut you down?
Yeah.
You quoted a book that was that shows the Canaanites. Those books was written before. Those are old books. They had access to those books. They knew who we were. There were many people who had done studies in the region where we came from. They knew about our ancestors. They knew about the archaeology, the finding of the bones in certain areas in the Levant, but yet and still they covered it up. And then they try to twist words and names and titles just to keep you, myself, and all our people in the dark of who we were and the power. You know, I remember back in the 90s, when I was younger, you know, very young in life, very young. You kept hearing, man, we were kings, man. We were kings. And you know, then most people talking about going back to Egypt. But we were royalty. We were the people called out by Yah.
Exactly. I had it here. Let me do it one more time. You know how it goes. Sometimes these things got quirky. Oh, there we go. Let me get this again. I had it in here. I'm not going to do anything special to it. Just going to copy and paste it here. Oh, why is it doing that? Let me try this again. All right, let me try it again. All right, there we go.
I'm reading some good stuff in that chat. One sister was saying that YouTube is a hypocrite. I can't stroll without seeing risky stuff and unclothed people, but yet they're gonna target the truth. Amen, sister.
Yeah, you got plenty of hip hop songs that's using the word and saying a lot more with it than what we're saying.
And you got what they call influencers, gamers who sit around playing games and calling people names and throwing the name around. But yet, people sitting here just digging in the truth and enlightening the people who are finding out who they are in their land of bondage. No, we can't have that. We can't have them.
Yeah, they getting too close.
They get too close. We cannot have a black Messiah.
Exactly. Now let me, you know me, I'm just adding a little thing here. This will be done here, almost done. All right, just so I can highlight this here.
In fact, while you're doing that, I'm going to drop this in the chat because this I had this on the live we did on I think was it Friday? Thursday. It was Friday. We were talking about something, but I was looking up the newspaper they used to put out with the Black Panthers.
Oh yeah.
And they got an archive of all the newspaper, and all they're doing is what we're doing now. They was uncovering stuff, showing the truth about what was going on, who was getting what, and they were educating the people in the community, and they didn't want them educated. So I'm gonna drop that link in the chat for guys. Y'all can read some of those. See, and then they didn't get into who really we are, but they were uncovering truths about how the government was taking money from poisoning the community to fund wars and doing stuff like that. They were showing all that stuff.
Yeah. Actually, I think I put a video up too about some of I think it's down in St. Louis, a whole community of people with cancer. You know, they was using their community to experiment with.
Yeah, they were putting that stuff. They were highlighting this. In fact, they were the first group that they said Black Panther, but they had Hispanic, they had some white, they had other groups coming together, and that's when they had to take them out because they were bringing other people, poor people, together.
Yeah. All right. So you see on your screen, family, I got it up here.
I see it.
So, family, this is a screenshot directly from the Strong's in-depth definition of the Greek and Hebrew, or the Hebrew and Greek dictionary.
All 5 Israelites.
So you can see this. This is not me just making, just creating that screen grab in that page rip section. No, this is right here. This is actually inside this source.
Number
The
1,
second son of Jacob. Oh, go ahead.
Simeon.
Yep.
Number
right
2,
here.
one of Abraham's descendants. Number 3, one of it took from the infant Jesus in the temple, the prophet Simeon, and the one in question, the leader of the church of Antioch, the teacher at the church of Antioch. He was a leader, the head in charge.
Exactly. All right. So I just, so I put that in the backdrop so you can see that along with this list right here. So you can see that it was, I'm not taking this out of here and putting aside this page grip effect. And, I'm compromising the data. No, it's exactly what you see here that is here. All right. So I just wanted to show that. So Simeon is a Hebrew Israelite name.
Yes.
And he is what? A Hebrew Israelite. So every text where the name Simeon is used is referring to an Israelite. And again, I pointed out he was an Israelite. And I asked the question, was he an Israelite? Was he a proselyte? The key verse that proves he was an Israelite, Acts 13. Right? There you have other nations coming to where they are to what? To learn.
To learn from them.
Other nations, that's where it says, and when the Judeans were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles, in other words, those that were not Israelites, besought that these words might be preached to them the next Shabbat. Right? Does that shut it down or what?
I shut it down.
And Simeon is over this assembly. And Paul is teaching there. All right. So let's fast forward. All right. Now, I'm not going to name all the other ones. I can, but this lesson, it goes into all the other ones. But I want to make sure we stay on a key point here, because we proved that Simeon is an Israelite. We know Barnabas is Israel. All these guys are Israelites.
All of them.
All of them. Okay. But I'm not going to go through it today. Let me just skip down to it. Let me skip down to this key portion of the presentation. I just want to get back to here. Let's see here. Josephus. Let's go right here. Is Negro, is Niger interchangeable or connected to Nigger? We have to prove this, right? Well, let's go back to the Century Dictionary, 1895. Let's see the definition of this word. Look at what it says. Nigg what? ER. Formerly Niger, Neger, Nejar, Neager. So all these different variants still points to what? Nigger. Spanish, Portugal, right? But that's Negre, right? But anyway, Negro, a black man. A Negro, see Negro. So we see here, Niger is not as generally supposed a corruption of Negro. What it's saying, Niger is not a bad word. It's not a corrupt word. It was a good. It's telling you that it wasn't a bad word at all. But look at how it tells you what happened here. It says, but is regularly developed from the earlier form Niger, Neger, which is derived through the French from the Spanish Portuguese Negro. But look at what it says here. This is the key that I want to highlight. So we see a black man, Negro, Niger, but look at what it goes here. It says here, but its use is now confined to colloquial, or illiterate speech. So it's saying how it got what? It became a byword. Right? Going back to this compact Bible dictionary, the big book I showed, Niger, Neger, Niger. And look at here, colloquial, like the Negro, it says colloquial and usual contemptuous. So it's saying how this word Negro became what? Corrupt. And it points to the United States. It says here, contempt of the poor blacks, or Niger, as they are called, as they are there called, seems the national sin of America.
The national sin.
So it's saying how they changed it, how they corrupted it, and made it into a slang. And as you see how here it goes on to show how they further made associated stereotypes. As you see here, a similar error has turned Othello into a rank, woolly, padded, thick-lipped Niger.
And we know who Othello was, right?
Oh yeah, we dealing with Shakespeare.
And what kind of rank he had?
And he was. Go ahead. I ain't gonna let the cat out of the bag, but go ahead if you want to.
But that's the thing about it.
He was the head what?
He was the head nigger in charge. Othello, and that stuff. Now I didn't learn that in school, but he was a black man in charge. Shakespeare wrote that.
So why is this so-called white guy Shakespeare writing about all these Negroes?
Didn't he also? You said last night. Didn't he also said that Cleopatra was swarthy?
He said his own grandfather.
Yeah, it's his brother,
his father, his brother. But instead of using black or ruddy, he used the word auburn, which is synonymous to ruddy, dark brown.
They go back to the words you used earlier, and one of the sisters in chat had put the connection: Morano, maroon, Mars. Yeah.
So, family, you see the connection. Negro is connected to Niger. We just proved it. All right. But let's go to Negus, Negus, just like in the video that was shared. Title of the ruler of Abyssinia, 1590s. From Amharic, in other words, Semitic, Negus, which means king. From stem of NaGaYaD, he forced rule. But notice you don't see any of those vowel movements, right? In this word here, NaGaYaD. And if we go to the skeleton root consonant, so to speak, it'd be NaGa or Nagas or Nagash.
Nagash.
You see how it all connects? But this is actually each letter equivalent to the ancient Hebrew. Na, Ga, Sha. Na, seed. Ga, sustain, which also means maturity. Sha, which means teeth, tool. So we say here, Negus is a title, an Abyssinian title of a ruler. And we see Semitic, all right, Shemitic, Negus, king, stem from NaGaYaD. That can't be sounding like some Hebrew word because it's the root, right? Ancient Ga'az had no vowel letters outside of the ah. Anyway, let me stop right there. Man, just so happen I have it here. Let me just show it here, family. That is the original Ga'az. And also the Saba'an language. Now it's called Sabine. A, ba, ga, da, za, ta, or ta'a, ya, ka, la, ma, sa, sa'a, sa'a, ka'a, ra, wa, za, ha, ha, na, sa, ta. But we're crazy, right? Anyway, does Negus mean King of King, Lord of Lords? Negus, Nigaste. I'm not going to say this just for the sake of your channel. But you get it, family. Niggers, Nigga.
Ah.
Oh, come on, family. All my. A unique derivative of an ancient title. Negus is king, a term originated from Abyssinia, a king used as a title of the sovereign of Ethiopia. This term is originated by its native Ethiopian Amharic language. Since the creation of the title, Negus has been used to identify but defined differently to psychologically change the minds of captive Africans to rethink of themselves as someone less than whom they were.
Say that again, brother.
Let's read it again, family.
That's the twist. That's the hijack. Go ahead.
Since the creation of the title, Negus has been used to identify but defined differently to psychologically change the minds of captive Africans to rethink of themselves as someone less than whom they were.
Someone less than whom they were.
So it says here, many Western names like Negus originated from religious texts like the Bible.
Oh. It originated in the Bible, but why don't we see it now?
Now, I'm not going to butcher this here, but this is India. This is Hinduism. Now you get the word ganja, which is connected to, if you take the ga, right? And then you take because it's spelled G-A, then you have the N-G-A. But if you take it and put an A between the N, then it'd be Naga. Ga, Naga. Oh, come on now.
Come on.
And, I had to beat up on ChatGPT because ChatGPT, when I put a lecture in there, said that, hey, there's no connection. So, yes, it is. If we go to the skeleton root words, and when I pointed that out and dropped in NaGaYaD, ChatGPT was like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It does connect. Oh, come on, family. So, look at here. Names relate to a religious expression such as worthy of praise, Negus Nagaste, King of Kings, and this is also a prayer here. A prayer of Negus Nagaste, in ancient would be Nagas Nagasta, or Nagasha Nagasta. An example, King of Kings. All right. So let's continue here. So let's go to the Oxford Compact Dictionary definition of Negus. Look at what it point to. Amharic Negus, king.
Kings.
So king. All right, family. We just took you all the way back to here, and we're giving you the sources. All right.
Wow.
So what is the Hebrew word that's synonymous to Negus? Because it just told us that this word comes from. It points to the Bible.
That's it. Gotta be quiet.
Look at here. NaGaYaD, NaGaYaD. Commander, civil, military, or religious. Governor, in other words, chief, but leader, noble, prince, ruler.
Noble.
Now we're going all the way back to Samuel, dealing with Saul, 1 Samuel 9:16. Saul, right? Tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be what? The head Negro, be captain, NaGaYaD, over my people.
Yes. Thank you, Yah.
Then we go to 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 2. Also in time past, when Saul was king over us, thou was he that led us out and brought us in Israel. And Yahweh said to thee, thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be a captain, NaGaYaD, over Israel. Now the Most High is dealing with who? David. Now David is getting ready to become what? The head NaGaYaD in charge.
Over our people.
So let's do a deeper discovery of NIGGER. Leslie Dunkling, the Fact on File Dictionary of First Names, page 205. Neil, right? It says here, basically in a nutshell, the name was Latinized as Nicholas. This is where you get the name Nicholas.
Oh.
So that it was later thought to be derived from Latin Niger, right? Nicholas is connected to Niger. The Latin form also led to the variant form Nigel, Nigel. Or they'll say now Nigel, but Nigel.
Yeah.
Nigel. In the 19th century, Neil was predominantly a Scottish name used sporadically in the rest of Britain, but only became, I messed it up here, really popular in the 1950s. All right. But this is just giving some additional references. Variants of the name include Naal, Neil. This is different variants of it. But look at what it says, are also found. But they are Danish and Swedish forms of Nicholas. Oh, wait a minute. So you're saying Nicholas is connected to Niger? Connected to Negus?
Connected to?
Well, Neil derives from the word Nigelus, and Nigelus, or Nigelus, however you want to pronounce it, derives from the word Niger. Nig is the short form of what? Niggers. Well, Nig is also the short form of Nicholas.
Yes.
That comes from what? Niger. Well, Pastor, you got to prove this. Hanks Patrick Hodges Flavia, A Dictionary of Surnames, 1988, page 387. What do you see there?
Nicholas.
And then you see Nigel, Nicholas. Nigeli, or Nikolai, however they pronounce it, Nicholas. Different variants still point to who?
Nig. Niger.
So Nig is also synonymous to the word Nick, or Nick, N-I-C. I was about to break down Nicodemus. I didn't have a chance to put the source in here, so I'm going to bypass this. But what is the meaning of Nick? Nick, to make a notch or notches, sense of to steal, is from 1869, probably from the earliest slang, sense of to catch, take unawares, arrest. So Nick connects to the word Nig. The short form of Nick connects to Nicholas, but it says to make a notch or notches in, to take, steal. All right. Nick, as it says here, masculine proper name, familiar form of what? Nicholas. And we just proved Nicholas is connected to who? All my, right? As the devil by 1640s. But the reason for the obscure, perhaps in this sense, it is related to Middle East. Doesn't that sound similar? Niger, right?
Nike.
But it's similar to what? Their water demon, Nike, Nicolaites. That's why it says water demon, water sprite, mermaid. So what is the meaning of picnic?
I bet y'all know that, chat. Come on now. What was picnic?
Now, you see how it comes full circle? I just broke down what Nicholas. And let's go back here just so that way we understand this. Let's go back here. Look at here. Nick, to make a notch or notches, to steal, to catch, take unawares, arrest, which is called nicking. Oh my goodness.
Even in their harassment, in their hatred, they let that loose. They knew what we was doing, what they were doing.
They know. But you see how we connecting the dots, because they'll tell you that picnic does not mean what we know it to mean. But I'm walking everyone through from a linguistic approach, proving what it means. Anyone but the what?
Negro.
So what is the meaning of the picnic? We just went to Nick, right? To prove what Nick mean. In 1748, in Chesterfield's letters, but the thing itself apparently was rare before the 18th century as an English institution. But anyway, it says it originally meant a fashionable affair. So it's saying picnic originally meant a fashionable affair. Look, it says not necessarily outdoors, in which every partaker contributed something to the general table. What are they contributing? Look at here. To pick, peck. In other words, neek, it says the second element may be neek, worthless thing. So pick a worthless thing? Who is the worthless thing?
Come on.
Now we get into what? Nick, nig. Oh, come on now. You see how it all ties in together? So it says picnic, the word neek means worthless thing. And we came out of Nick. Oh, man. Basically mean kidnap. Kidnapping what? A worthless thing. So who is this worthless thing, according to our oppressors, picked for this social event that require all participants to bring something to the table? It's us. That's the end of the presentation.
Guys, we can. I love your idea about using that as an icebreaker, Pastor. You can go around calling yourself and calling your brothers Negus, as the spelling bee person.
Real nigga roll call. Niggas bleed. Jigga my nigga. Niggas for life. Real niggas don't die. Shame on a nigga. Suck a nigga. Ain't no nigga.
And Andrew, would you say the word loudly for the judges?
Negus.
One more time.
Negus.
Negus.
A king, a ruler. A king, a ruler. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor.
Man, family, and this is why we do what we do. You know what I mean? Because when you start seeing just how deep that rabbit hole goes, you can't just stop, because it's like, I'm going to keep going until we reach that bottom. Yep. You know what I mean? And that way we know that we unpacked and we just pulled out every deception. And little would you think that this word here goes that deep. Now, many couldn't articulate it. Like, wait a minute, pick Nick means pick whatever. But we just walked you through on how to properly articulate it. But the key is going all the way back to what it means to be a king. NaGaYaD, Negus, all of that ties in together. Negro, all of that ties in together.
And you know
But
what?
this,
I
go ahead.
guarantee, Pastor, as you like you said, that every day there'll be somebody to give us an opportunity to use what you learned tonight in conversation, because they're going to use one of those words, and you say, you know what that word meant? Lay it out for them. I send them the link.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Send them the link, family. If you feel like you can't, articulate it, which guess what, family? It's time for us as a community to mature.
Exactly.
If you've been in this awakening, let's just say for a year, if you still sound like you did when you first came into it, if your level is still the same as you first came into it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You should grow every year. Something you should have learned new every year, as we shared at the Shabbat. Dedication, the Feast of Dedication, is not just coming to celebrate the place of worship, but it's an opportunity to do some refresher training for those that are already in or already have an understanding, and for those that don't know and maybe their first time. It's kind of like a new members, a new orientation for those that just been introduced. That's the purpose of Feast of Dedication. It's the time of training. It's a time of making sure that we mature each time we come together. I yield, Berean Scholar.
That was good. That was a good point, brother. I was looking at some of the stuff in the chat. So about I'll put the question up, because who we are. We're on the continent of Africa, because the whole continent of Africa encompass the Levant too.
And I'm just going to say this, and I want to make this clear. A lot of that stems from, and I hate to say this, but it's like it's a level of hatred. It's almost like saying, "No, I'm black, but I'm not black like them over there." See, I had to deal with that. I'm not sure if you had to deal with that, Berean Scholar, but I dealt with that. I didn't hear my first compliment of my skin complexion until I went off to college.
Oh yeah.
And guess who it was by? White people. Like, oh man, you got some beautiful skin. Or you're beautiful, you're a handsome chocolate man. But let's stop with this African stuff. We can, let's stop with this hatred. Israel is in Africa. It's Northeast Africa. Africa does not equate to, like many of you guys are on the poor understanding of few, I'm not going to say all, to Ham. And even if it did, it's not a bad thing. It's like we just taking on the divisiveness of our oppressors. Israel is in Africa. So the entire continent is African. Every territory. If you want to use Africa, if you want to use whatever variants you want to use. It was at one time it was called Kush. Ethiopia is simply what? The transliteration of Kush. African, the term African, according to many of the records, comes from Abraham. Abraham was what? A Hebrew. Afer Shem. Look up his sons by the name of Keturah. So we have to let that stuff go, family. This is why we are in the position that we're in right now, because we keep getting in our own way. We're majoring in minor stuff. We're so quick to make something so evil, demonizing very things that's not even demonized.
And that's that internal psychological hack job that gave us that internal hatred of ourselves.
Exactly. Come on, family. We got to let that stuff go. And I know that there's certain camps out there that go in and say, hey, they won't even, if someone said that they African, no, you can't even come to their camps. You can't participate in any of their things. What is this? Won't even admit that you got, let's just say, African inside your DNA. Family, it's not that deep, but the scars are deep.
Yeah. And here's the fact, guys. If you look at a map, you look at a map where the Levant is, where Saudi Arabia is, where the Fertile Crest, where Abraham came from, all those people were black. Originally, all were dark melanated people. They're Syrian, dark melanated people. Syrian, Asher, son of Shem, black. So all and all there, all the way down to the South Africa, all. They mixed it up. They changed the name. They changed all these pictures, and now got us confused about who we are and who we don't want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And the scriptures even tell us not to hate the Egyptians. It literally tells us that.
And compares us to who? It compares us.
It compares to them.
Unto Ethiopians.
Come on, family. If we want to be real about it, Joseph's children came by way of who? An Egyptian woman.
Egyptian woman.
Ephraim and Manasseh.
Abraham's second wife.
Hagar, yes.
And third wife.
But exactly. So, family, let's stop with majoring in the minors. Okay, let's just put that to rest.
Right. Amen.
You know, it sets us back, and actually we start sounding like our oppressors. They don't do that. Of course, you got some extremes within them, but when it's all said and done, they rally together.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter. They're gonna rally together. But we have a way of just, it's like we taking on the spirit of the slave owners. So again, when you see that word African, whatever the case may be, Israel is on the continent of Africa. Now, you don't have a problem if you was from New York and say you're a New Yorker. And you're not even from, this is not your native territory. You don't have a problem with saying, yeah, I'm from New York. But you making a big deal of Africa?
And I don't know if these people who have this dislike, there's a lot of us in the scriptures who, like, there's a lot of our people in the scripture who have Hamitic wives. All down the genealogy of the Messiah.
So I'm just saying this, family, regardless of how some of our people feel and think, guess what? We come in all shades and colors. Actually, I'm not even going to say colors. We come in all shades.
All shades.
From blue-black to albino with no pigmentation. And that's a fact. So we got to let loose that thing. Being an Israelite, guess what? You got chocolate Israelites that's in Africa right now. Actually, matter of fact, my own daughter. And guess what? Me and my wife, you been around us, Berean Scholar. My youngest daughter, she chocolate. I'm dark, and she even darker than me. She's an Israelite.
Israelite. Like
our children comes in all different flavors, all different shades of darkness. So let's stop with that. I'm sorry, Berean Scholar. I just thought.
I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you did that. To set it straight. But we'll leave on this note. Know who you are. Know that you're a bloodline of Israel, from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Know that you were chosen to be royalty. You're called to be the Negus. But we have to earn it. It's a conditional saying. We can't just be there because we bloodline. We got to earn it. We got to study to show ourselves approval. A workman who need not be ashamed, rightly dividing his word. So when this opportunity is going to come up this week, and people bring up those words, Negro or the other words we're not going to say because we don't want you two to start acting up. Use that as a time to say, hey, you know where that word came from? You know what that word meant? And if you can't articulate, watch this again until you understand what the scriptures and the sources that was shared tonight. Watch it again. Take notes. And let's go wake up our brothers and sisters. Amen, brother.
Amen.
In the last words, Pastor?
Oh, you said it. You can't say it any plainer or any better than what you just stated. Very clear. I have nothing to add.
We get into a bad habit, Pastor.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're getting into a bad habit. I just looked again. We're at 2:25. We go on. We stop. We have to keep going on and going on.
Absolutely. And real quick, I told you my daughter she chocolate. She got more. She chocolated more. I can't even say chocolate. I'm making up a word, but she's darker than me, and I'm dark, and she's beautiful.
Yes.
I'm gonna make that clear. She's beautiful.
Beautiful.
And I'm not just saying it because I'm her dad, but my daughter is beautiful. All my daughters.
It's all beautiful. I mean, that's another psyche saying that it's not. It's nothing. Why does everybody want to be like the black woman?
That's right.
I mean, if we're so ugly, why everybody trying to copy the lips, the look, the voluptuousness? Why are they trying to copy that? Why are they trying to do that? Guys, they did a hack job on us.
Yeah, let me just say this real quick. I know we're going to close out. Ann Miller posted, not the Hamitic folk the Bible warns about mixing. In fact, didn't Yah order a whole village of people be Let me make it clear. The group of Hamitic people the Most High told Israel not to interchange with is specified, is laid out in Deuteronomy chapter 7. Starting with the Canaanites, the Hittites, they couldn't mix with the Ammonites and they couldn't mix with those guys. But they didn't slaughter them when you get to Nehemiah chapter 13. That they did not slaughter them. Now, some marriages were annulled starting with the leadership, but they didn't slaughter those people in Nehemiah. But my point that I'm making is, and I don't want to go down this path with this discussion because we had a great discussion. Stay on topic, and if you want to, we can address this in another time. But let's not interpolate the scriptures. Let's not interpolate the scriptures. Again, they some of the Israelites married Ammonites and Moabites, right? Who were descendants of Lot, who were descendants of what they could consider a bastard seed through incest. And the whole issue, the main issue was because they lost their heritage, many of them. But anyway, I just want to point that out. When we start understanding who's who, Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1, 2, and I think it goes to 3, lays out who they were not supposed to marry. Had nothing to do with, for example, the Egyptians. It points out Canaanite relatives and people that's connected to them. And it lays out in chapter 18 why. Because they were into all kinds of witchcraft, child sacrificing, and all kinds of things. And the Most High did not want Israel to marry them. All right, let me stop right there. I'm sorry, bro.
That's good. That's good because you can look at Jacob's wives' concubines. They came from the same region, either Canaanites or related Shemitic people. We don't know. So anyway, Guys, want to thank you guys for being a part of this. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for hitting the like button. I pray that the Most High bless you this week, that you go forth and you share the word with joy. We don't want to beat anybody on the head about who we are or what we are, but we also want to share the light. We want to share the light and share the love. So until we meet again next time, thank you again for sharing this, for putting a comment in there, and we ask you to stay tuned to next time. Shalom.
Shalom.
What do you think about this topic? Remember to be a Berean scholar, as it is written in the book of Acts 17 verses 11 to 12. Now the Bereans were more noble-minded than the Thessalonians, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if these teachings were true. It's time to deepen your understanding and see your reflection within the sacred pages. Please click subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date with the Berean Scholar channel.